Hey guys, welcome back to Adlib Talk, and this is my review for Uncharted, another video game to movie adaptation, but will this be another flop like the many other video game to movie adaptations? Let's find out as Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg star in Uncharted. But before we get into that review, as always guys, don't forget to leave a like on this video if you enjoyed, and please do consider subscribing. Those are the two main ways you can help support my channel. Cheers, and let's get right into that review.
There are places out there you can't find on any map. They're not gone. They're just lost.
Alright, so Uncharted is directed by Ruben Fleischer with screenplay by Rafe Lee Judkins, Art Markham and Matt Holloway. It is clearly based on the Naughty Dog games of the same name, although the story does not follow the story we see in the games. I personally have only played the first of the whole series, so I do not have that strong connection with the game, so keep that in mind in my review. The basic plot here is that Nathan Drake joins Victor Sullivan, who becomes something of a mentor for him. Their plan is to find the treasure of the Magellan expedition, but in their way is billionaire Santiago Moncada and his mercenary Joe Braddock. The movie starts off with a young Nathan Drake who, in his attempts to steal the first map made after the Magellan expedition, gets caught together with his brother Sam. Now Sam decides to escape, but promises Nate he will return for him. After a few years, Nate is now a little older, yet his brother has never returned for him. He bides his time stealing from rich individuals whilst working as a bartender, and this is where he does in fact meet Sully, who had worked with his brother in their attempts to track the treasure, and so they team up. Now let's address the huge elephant in the room. Does Tom Holland look like or act like Nathan Drake? No, not really. Is Tom Holland the best thing in this movie? Yeah, pretty much, yeah. Holland's great charisma and likability is a big pull for this movie. Although he looks way too young for the role and his personality just doesn't fit the character we experience in the games, Holland carries this movie on his two shoulders and does it well. He has some real star power and he gives a performance which is quite similar to the Spider-Man performance, but just like in Spider-Man, it works pretty good. Mark Wahlberg is Mark Wahlberg, as he always is. He really does not deviate from his one prototype of a character and one tone of voice. But can you truly dislike Wahlberg? He is having some fun with this role, although the only time I felt like was actually seeing Sully was in the post-credit scene, which is a bit of a disappointment, to be honest. Apart from that, then we have probably the only character who feels like he was taken straight out of the games, who is Antonio Moncada, acted by Antonio Banderas. Unfortunately, the writers decided for some strange reason to criminally underutilize Banderas in this movie in favor of Tati Gabrielle, whose character Braddock is extremely boring and pretty much offers nothing to the movie. Finally, we have Chloe Fraser as well, who I personally don't remember from the game, so I'm guessing she appears in one of the sequels, who is another quite boring character whose constant betrayals are incredibly predictable. And I think from what I have explained so far, it's quite clear where the problem with this movie lies. The writing is bad, really, really bad. Nothing creative takes place. There are no shocks, no surprises. The dialogue is bland and devoid of any real wit. It's sometimes on the verge of reaching awful. The jokes rarely worked. I mostly chuckled at some extremely childish humorous moments. I know I chuckled at the racist Scottish moment. However, I must admit, as awful as the writing was, I never felt bored or uninterested in what was going on screen. When reviewing a movie like this, it's important to keep in mind what the movie's objective is, and smart writing was definitely not one of its main focuses. On the other hand, the action was clearly an important aspect, and yes, it mostly works quite well. Having an actor like Holland who does his own stunts is great and actually seeing the actor jump up and down and do his stunts is a positive for this movie. The action reaches levels of ridiculous near the climax of this movie, and I would be lying if I didn't have my head in my hands a number of times. However, overall, I expected this from this movie, so, there's that. However, what did disappoint me a little in this movie was the gunfights in this movie. There was a lack of gunfights, impactful gunfights, and also a lack of climbing in old tombs, what you expect out of an Uncharted movie. Our protagonists travel to different exciting locations, and there are some beautiful set pieces here. But sometimes the writers, for some reason, decided to place our characters in probably the most boring places possible. Papa John's scene, for example. What a disappointment. Now, overall, I did quite enjoy Uncharted, although I have a feeling the more you are a fan of the games, the more you might hate this movie. None of the characters feel like their video game counterparts. However, some of the set pieces are clearly taken from the video games. For example, the cargo plane scene, that seems like it's taken straight from a video game. Director Fleischer and his writers have managed to create a movie that will please the average movie watcher, although anyone who cares about character and narrative development will be shocked at the extremely low quality on show. Tom Holland manages to keep things interesting with his decent performance, as does the action, and so overall my rating for Uncharted is a possible 2.5 out of 5. It is average at best, but quite serviceable if you like Tom Holland or are looking for a relaxing action adventure movie which pretty much requires no concentration.
Guess I'll keep on living.
Oh my god!
I shouldn't have come out to play with the big boys, Ian, because you're about to get a proper Scottish welcome.
What?
Oh, crap!
Exclusively in movie theaters.
Thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed that review. As always, guys, don't forget to leave a like on this video and please do consider subscribing. Cheers, and I'll see you guys next time right here on Ad Lib Talk.